Hi, welcome and thank you for attending tonight's Lifelong Resolutions hosted here by True Health Diagnostics. We are empowering health through insight. My name is Jody Drange, and I am going to be your host as well as speaker tonight as we go through this webinar. I am a dietitian, clinical health consultant, certified diabetes educator, as well as an exercise physiologist certified through ACSM. And again, one of the clinical health consultants here at True Health Diagnostics. So as a clinical health consultant, we do take appointments and see patients or in the offices or possibly over the phone one-on-one to consult you about anything from your tests to individual needs around exercise or nutrition. So we will go ahead and we will get started today. Just a couple of things, kind of housekeeping. If you do have any questions at all throughout the presentation tonight, please make sure that you use the question box over on the right-hand side. I will probably, because I'm hosting as well as speaking tonight, I will go back and I will view them at the very end of the conversation tonight, but please feel at any point so that we don't miss any questions. Feel free to put them in, and again, I will address those at the end. So hopefully we will get through and have about 10 to 15 minutes for questions. So let's go ahead and get started about making changes and sticking with it. So with the beginning of the new year, we definitely hear a lot of talk about resolutions. And a resolution is just a decision to do or to not do something. But what we want to talk about is really a health resolution. And that decision is, again, to do something or to not do something to improve your health. So how do you go about completing your health resolution, and how do you keep yourself from kind of that dropping out or getting off track and that defeat that many people face on a yearly basis? So tonight, again, we're going to talk about how do I make that resolution for a healthy lifestyle? What are the tools that I need to have around me in order to be successful? If there are barriers that I may face, and all of us do, how do we deal with them? How do we work around them? When we set our resolution, we want to set them so that they're SMART goals. And we're going to talk about what the acronym SMART really stands for. And again, how we can make those goals really more realistic and get us to where we want to be. And then last, we're going to talk about support. So first off, we want to erase the New Year's resolution mindset. So really what we talk to our patients about is about having a healthy lifestyle. So not making changes that you can't foresee yourself doing in 6 months to a year or even 5 years from now. We want to do something that really just becomes kind of the normal, the new norm of what you do or what you do with your family. And then that way, once we get healthy and we lose weight, that we don't cycle back around to, oh my gosh, I just put on the 20 pounds that I lost, or kind of worse, that we just gained 30 pounds back of the 20 that we lost. Just because, again, it might not be things that are realistic to do in 6 months, a year, or even 5 years from now. So motivation is what gets you started. I really want to lose weight, or I really want to run that half marathon, but habit is what keeps you going. So we're going to talk about both of those today. So diet versus lifestyle. So again, a diet implies that there is a set start as well as an end date for your behavior. So again, what am I going to do for the next 6 months, before my high school reunion or before my daughter's wedding? But a lifestyle change implies that you're willing to work on your healthy eating and exercise goals every day, little by little, until it becomes that lifestyle. So again, kind of the new norm for you. So research has shown that lifestyle changes are more effective than diets. And that's, again, because now it's the routine, it's the norm, it's what I do, again, versus, I just have to do it until this day and then I get to change. So why is it so hard to have a healthy lifestyle? So sometimes it's because we set unrealistic goals. I have patients who tell me, when we talk about exercise, they haven't exercised in 5 years and their goal is to do an hour, 6 days a week. So maybe that's not realistic because we haven't done anything for 5 years. So maybe we need to start slower. So that might be, what we talk about in regards to those goals and kind of getting them narrowed down to what's really realistic and then building upon them. Secondly, the convenience of fast food makes it hard to eat healthy because we're all very busy, whether you have kids or you're retired and you have meetings, work requirements, they just continue to pile up and that calendar gets full pretty quickly. Secondly, it's just life is stressful, or maybe season of life is very stressful, and this can easily get us off track. So really, this is going to be one of those barriers that we come up with, and sometimes stress makes people not eat, and sometimes it makes people turn to food. So we're definitely going to work on that, or that might be something that you work specifically with a health coach on, such as a clinical health consultant. It's hard to learn something new, and we'll talk a lot about habit during the discussion today. And then making time for yourself, that can be difficult because, maybe you have different roles. You're a dad, you're a coworker, you might be part of a committee. You might have, again, additional groups or a mom, a sister, a friend, and all of those roles might make it hard for you, again, to find that time for yourself. And then the last one is lack of support. So maybe it's that my husband is not on board with healthy eating because he hates vegetables. So how do I work around that? So first things that we want to address, am I ready? Am I ready to make that jump and to make the necessary changes in order to see the results that I want to do? So let's talk about behavior change theory. So this is something that we take a look at in regards to identifying as we work one-on-one with patients, where are you really at? And again, this helps us to set those goals. So the first place is pre-contemplation. So I'm not really ready to make any type of changes in the next 6 months. So this might be somebody who wants a healthy lifestyle, but they're like, you know what, I'm not really looking right now to quit smoking. So that might be in the contemplation stage of change. Then as we become more aware of, gosh, I'm starting to get healthy, but there's still this kind of smoking in the background. So maybe I'm thinking, gosh, I'm eating better, I'm exercising. So maybe smoking is something that I want to start addressing. So again, maybe in the next 6 months, let's kind of take a look at it. So preparation, I've decided to start changing a behavior within the next month. So maybe I'm working with a health coach and I've decided, hey, my quit date is going to be in 3 weeks. Maybe this is, hey, I'm going to start exercising on Monday because I just got my membership. Or maybe it's I need to go grocery shopping and on Sunday I will start healthy eating after I've grocery shopped and kind of prepped my food for next week. Then we move into action. So we've made changes in the past 6 months and we're kind of on a good routine. And then lastly is maintenance. So we've kept up this behavior for over 6 months and then we're just trying to prevent relapse. So which stage are you in? So again, the pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. So the one thing that I really want you to notice is those arrows, the gray arrows over to the right-hand side. So these arrows go back and forth, they go up, the other ones come down. So this is where we really talk about relapse and those barriers. I've been doing really good, and then maybe I had a death in the family. Maybe I had a best friend who moved away, and those are barriers that can maybe, make us slip back into, gosh, I'll get started again within the next month in preparation, even though for the last 6 months I've been, going to the out walking, very consistently. So again, just kind of know that these do go back and forth. They don't always have to move, you know, in the right direction. And then again, you know, we will talk about that, and you can work through that with your clinical health consultant about those relapses. So what stage are you in? So here are just some examples again that kind of go through the different stages. So in pre-contemplation, I have high blood pressure, but it's nothing serious right now. So I'm not going to make any changes. Where contemplation, so kind of moving up that chain. I know diabetes runs in my families and I have pre-diabetes. This probably means that I should stop eating sweets. So again, maybe within the next 6 months, I might start to look at that behavior and work on changing it. Preparation, again, my gym membership starts on the 15th of this month. So within the next month, I'm going to start exercise. Action, I've lost 7 pounds already. My goal is 15. So again, I've been doing something at least within the last 6 months. And then lastly, maintenance. I've lost 30 plus pounds and have come off of 5 medication. I met with my clinical health consultant every 3 months. And so this is definitely a reasonable goal when you make those good, consistent changes. All right, so again, we mentioned earlier that we were going to talk about habits. So habits are what can make us relapse. And so one thing I think that is always interesting, you know, is the statistic that 40% of our day is actually based on habit, not decisions. So, you know, what I typically eat for breakfast, again, it's become that habit because that's kind of always what I've done. Or, you know, I stop and get a Dunkin' Donuts coffee because now that's just the routine. They know me there, so I just go there every morning. Or I go out to eat with coworkers at lunchtime. Again, maybe not a choice, but just because that's just what we do in our office. So habits, again, are really built from cues and routines, as well as possibly rewards. Mental, emotionally, physically, those habits are built. So cutting the habits for food habits. So, you know, family recipes are high fat ingredients, eating while performing an activity. So maybe not taking that break for lunch and going to the cafeteria, but staying at your desk and eating while you're still working. Eating certain foods together, maybe beans and rice, because we know that that makes a complete protein, or indulging in something sweet following a meal. And again, that is just that habit that now we feel like we need to have it. But again, it's really just created out of habit, that's just what we did. And now we don't know why we do it. We just always kind of, again, fall into that routine. Exercise habits, exercise only in particular types of weather. So it's too hot, it's too cold. You know, it was drizzling this morning, so I didn't go out. Avoiding exercise because we are busy. And then scheduling exercise into your day. So that's actually a good habit of that exercise to make it consistent. So what are the cues? Cues are really triggers. So it makes the body go on autopilot. Times of days can be cues. For me, I typically have a snack around mid-morning. So usually between 10 to 10:30, I know what time it is because you know, my body at that time tells me, hey, it's snack time, you need to have something. You know, it might be that somebody started warming up some food around lunchtime, and all of a sudden we know that my cue or my trigger is that odor, and therefore it's actually time to go eat. Things like that. And emotional situations or stress can also be triggers. So those are things that we definitely want to watch for. So again, with routines, physical, emotional, and mental behaviors are definitely routines. And again, it can be provoked by cues, which again are triggers, and they can be healthy or unhealthy. So a healthy example would be exercising to relieve stress. So I had a hard day at the office, you know, instead of going home and sitting down in front of the TV with you know, like a little Debbie snack, I've decided to go walk on the treadmill to kind of clear my head. Unhealthy behaviors are, again, binge eating after a bad day, so decided to have pizza and chips and soda because, again, that's what I was craving due to kind of that emotional trigger. So why do I eat? These are actually really good questions that I encourage you to think about, maybe write a couple down that really resonate with you that are on the list. Because why do you think that you eat? Is it because you're hungry? Is it because you're bored? Do you eat to fuel your body? There's that whole saying, you don't want to live to eat, but you want, or you don't want, you don't want to live to eat, you want to eat to live. So again, why are you doing this? Again, because it's time to eat. Sometimes it's just clock watching because the game is on, which is very common for us to have certain snacks that go with that football game on Sunday, because I always eat ice cream and watch this show. Again, are you stressed? Did you skip breakfast, so now I'm super hungry for lunchtime? Is it because you exercised today, which possibly could increase your appetite? But those are good things to continue to keep recognizing. And the other one here, because you're going on a diet tomorrow, so kind of that last supper mentality of, okay, I'm going to eat anything and everything because tomorrow is going to be a new day on my diet. And again, that kind of leads us to maybe overeating and that trigger. So rewards. So there's prize at the end of the tunnel. This provides a sense of accomplishment, happiness, or relief. And so what we want to focus on is what is the reward, when we set our goal. Sometimes it's the endorphins, it's those pleasure chemicals that give us that reward, can be produced after exercising for a short, after exercising, maybe like an intense workout or running for, a couple miles. Or it can also happen after a short time after eating a calorie-dense meal. So this is sometimes why we go to food, when it's an emotional trigger, because again, it does give us that little reward, even though we know, an hour later, does it really solve the problem? Does it really help us with the stress that we've dealt with at work? Again, it might help short term, but when we go back to work the next day, we still have that stress. So we need to find a different way to deal with it so that we can have a different reward system. So be sure to set a reward for yourself for reaching a goal at different intervals. And so 5 pounds, the second 10 pounds, the last 10 pounds, second 5 pounds, last 10 pounds. It could be that I exercise 3 days a week for 3 weeks in a row. And then we really want to set those rewards, but we want to avoid food related. So it's not that, gosh, I lost 5 pounds, so I'm going to eat a cake. Or gosh, I exercised and I ran 2 miles today, so therefore I get that ice cream while I sit and watch TV tonight. So again, avoid food being that reward. Think about things that, they could be free or they maybe could cost money. So, after I lose 20 pounds, the spa treatment that I've been wanting to go for, my husband and I have agreed that then I can go get it. Maybe it's downloading a book on Kindle. Maybe it's buying a new item of workout clothing, because sometimes that motivates us to keep going, or that smaller size. It could be electronic, downloading an iTunes song, that's your favorite on the radio. And again, once I've done 3 workouts for a week, then I get to download that. Vacation, that's probably a little bit bigger, a little bit more expensive, but a date night with the spouse, or even, taking some time to relax and actually go to a movie, ideally, again, without the large popcorn and soda. So part of it is continuing to build up this term that we use is willpower. So willpower is the ability to resist temptation and self-regulation, and these are things that can be strengthened. And how we strengthen them is actually by making small changes to reach the bigger goal. So crash diets starve you of this willpower because you do so many changes all at once that it's almost a system overload. And because of that, then it's difficult for us to kind of get back on track. So this is the opposite of a reward. So again, making small changes to build up to reach a bigger goal is the way to go. So finally, cutting the habit, steps to get you there. So number 1, we want to decide to make the change. So again, are you ready in the next month in that pre-contemplation stage to get something going? Commit to this change and write it down. I can't remember the exact statistic, but they say over 80 to 90% of people who write down their goals are successful. So kind of on the flip side, so only 20% of people or even 10% of people are successful if they don't write down their goals. So that's super important. So believe in the change, believe in yourself that this time you're going to do it. But again, picking one habit to change and starting there. So again, that we don't overload ourselves to weaken our willpower. Again, too many decisions and then it just gets difficult. Identify your routine, identify your cues, your triggers, find that reward, find that motivation. Maybe to get started, it needs to be external, where eventually it becomes, gosh, I just feel so much better when I'm exercising 5 days a week for 20 minutes, that when I don't do it, I definitely notice the difference. But make a plan to change the old habit. So let's talk about setting those goals. So again, we want to make SMART goals, and we're going to go through each one of these specifically, but we're talking about making those goals specific, measurable, obtainable, reasonable, as well as timely. So the first one is specific. So much more likely to obtain a specific goal versus a general goal. So asking yourself who, what, when, where, and why. So turn a goal of I want to lose weight into something more specific. So I want to lose 5 pounds by February 1st. So that means in the next 3 weeks, let's say we set that goal tonight. So in the next 3 weeks, I am committing to losing that 5 pounds, okay? And again, we want to do it by February 1st. So if February 1st comes, we know if we were able to meet our goal or not. So again, needs it to be measurable. So ask how much and how many. So we want to lose that weight, but again, how are we going to do it? So if you're cutting down on consumption, how much? So I drink sweet tea right now. I stop at McDonald's on a daily basis. I get their, supersized sweet tea. And so my goal is to cut down to no more than 1 sweet tea per week. And I feel like this will help me to lose that 5 pounds by February 1st. Other examples is that I will exercise 3 days per week for 30 minutes on the treadmill. So again, I know I'm going to get on the treadmill at home. I know I'm going to go for 30 minutes, and I know that I need to commit to 3 days a week. So making sure they're obtainable. So don't set goals that aren't within reach, because that just gets us very frustrated. And then it kind of makes us think, well, why should I even bother? So instead of saying that you're going to run a marathon in 3 months, how about just a 5K? So running 3 miles, building up over the next 3 months, that would be doable. So setting goals that aren't attainable, again, set us up for failure. And we want to, again, be realistic, because we want to be successful and get that reward of running that 5K. And again, you don't have to swing for the stars. Definitely try bunting the ball first. So again, something smaller. So next, we want to concentrate on being realistic. So again, do you believe that you can accomplish this? So I want to lose 5 pounds per week. Might be a little bit of a stretch. So again, really the smarter goal is that I want to start by losing 1 to 2 pounds per week by eating 1 less sweet treat per day. And again, if you feel like that is what will help you to start losing the weight, then that is a goal, and that is realistic. The last one is timely. So set a time that you want to achieve that goal. So in the first example, I wanted to lose 5 pounds by February 1st. Again, February 1st was our time frame. You don't want it to go on forever of, in the next 5 years, I want to lose 20 pounds, because then we just lose focus. So setting the timeline will help with that motivation. So, what do I need to do on a day-by-day basis? You know, what do I need to do on a weekly basis, a monthly basis? And then really our long-term goal is considered anything over 6 months. So again, you know, where do I want to be in a year from now? I think that's a good picture to look at, but really we need to then come back and make that smart goal for maybe the next couple of weeks, so that we can really gain some traction and start to build upon it to reach that 6 months to a year goal. So ask yourself some questions. You know, why are these goals important to me? That's something that we talk a lot about one-on-one with our patients. You know, why do you want to do this? What is your driving factor? Because when we lose sight of why do we want to do that, then it's easy to reach for the ice cream again, or maybe it's you know, easier to kind of reach for that canned soup, even though that is high in sodium, even though I have high blood pressure. But when I can maybe look at pictures of my grandkids and realize that I want to be around for them to graduate high school, you know, or I'd love to see them get married, those are the reasons that I'm going to say, no, I'm going to take a little bit of time on the weekend. I'm going to make a homemade soup with no sodium, chicken broth or something like that, again, to improve my health. And then what support will I have along the way? Do I have a spouse or a significant other who's on board with me? Do I have a best friend, you know, that's willing to meet me at 5 in the morning to go walking or running, which luckily I have that. My next door neighbor, we meet 3 days a week at 5 a.m. to go running, and I can tell you that without her, I wouldn't do it. But knowing that I'm committed to her, I get out of bed at 5 a.m. to go do that run. And then what limitations will I face? So for me, the example is that I have a 9-month-old little boy. So sometimes he's my limitation and I have to work around that. So again, hence why I have to get up before he does so that I can get my workout in before that. But maybe my limitation is that I travel for work. So again, you know, is it that I can, you know, maybe change the places I'm staying at to make sure that they have a gym? You know, is it that my, you know, 16-year-old kid is going to start helping with dinner so that when I get home while he's prepping dinner that I can get 20 minutes, you know, on the stationary bike. You know, so again, identifying what those limitations are, because then we can start to talk about how to move past them. So here's an example of a SMART goal, or we're going to talk through this. So the first example is, again, I want to start walking. So we know that that's not time-based and it's not very specific because we don't know how many days or how long that you're going to walk. So again, try to be more specific. So how many times per day would you like to walk? Sometimes this might be, I have 2 15-minute breaks. I'm going to do 2 10-minute walks throughout the day. And again, for how many minutes or miles? 10 minutes, because that's what I have during my break. How will you measure your walking? Did you get a Fitbit for Christmas and you're going to start using that pedometer? You know, are you going to put a small TV into your exercise room so that you can maybe walk on the treadmill as you watch a 30-minute program? Secondly, you know, is this goal attainable to start walking? Is the goal realistic? Is there anything that you're going to need to adjust for to make it more realistic? And lastly, what is your time frame for achieving this? The other thing, just going back really quickly to, again, making it something that's more realistic, we often ask our patients, you know, on a scale of 0 to 10, how confident are you on that scale? Of 0 to 10 being 0, like there's no way I'm doing this, and 10 being like absolutely I got this. And so I often challenge my patients that if you are not an 8 out of 10, so about 80% sure that you can accomplish this goal, then we need to rework your goal. We need to maybe take a step back. And again, instead of doing 5 days a week for 20 minutes, maybe we need to do 3, because right now with your schedule, that's more realistic to, again, kind of start to gain that traction to eventually build up to that 5 days. So, and then here again, we're taking that statement of I want to start walking it and really making it a SMART goal. So I want to start walking on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 30 minutes until my next appointment with my clinical health consultant, which we've set for 4 weeks. So again, very time-based. You felt like it was realistic. You worked that over with your clinical health consultant. Again, you identified very specific days that you were going to be walking because you know that that's what's going to work for you. So barriers, these definitely come up. Everybody faces them, but what we need to do is have a plan to overcome them. So some barriers include, again, not enough time to exercise or cook. Sometimes it's financial constraints that, we don't have the money to get to the gym, or, I don't have the money to buy, kind of all the organic food that maybe somebody recommended. But part of it too is losing faith in yourself, because again, we maybe don't have that support system for somebody to say, you know what, big deal that you didn't hit Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You hit, Monday, Wednesday, and now we just need to do Saturday. So again, somebody to be there to support you. Time management, often again, we go to fast food that's supposed to say food there, again, because we don't have that time to go home and cook. Life stress, and then again, what we really want to focus on is how can we plan to combat these barriers. And having a support system is really key to being successful for lifestyle changes. So again, who can be that person? Is it a spouse, partner? Is it children? Is it friends, a workout buddy? I actually had a patient, she had a sister actually in a different state, but they were in the same time zone. And so they would commit like between 5 and 6, let's say, Eastern Standard Time to work out. And they were actually doing the same workout program. So they did the same video at home, and then at 6 o'clock, they agreed to call each other for accountability to be like, hey, did you do your workout today? So sometimes your workout buddy doesn't need to be in the same state. Again, it can just be that person who's really going to be there to hold you accountable. Sometimes it's a physician and checking in. I had one physician, as far as patients who wanted to have weight loss goals, they checked in, they came in and weighed weekly, and that was recorded in their chart. You always have a clinical health consultant that can set you up, and maybe you're following up with emails on a weekly basis, even though you have phone calls monthly. I have a patient who's doing that right now and really successful. And then lastly, again, maybe it's the personal trainer that, gosh, I either dread exercise, or again, it's the time piece that if I don't commit to meeting that personal trainer, I don't commit my time or clear my schedule in order to get to the gym. So again, this is really important as far as finding what works best for you. Things to remember, triggers will get in the way of success. So again, identifying what are those triggers and then having a plan. Never reward yourself with food. Instead, go shopping or treat yourself with a movie. We kind of talked about that. Expect a relapse, and that's okay, especially with holidays. They get super busy. And so have a plan for that backslipping. That maybe instead of going on a monthly basis, I know I have 3 birthdays coming up, or for me, I have like 5 baby showers in the next month. So maybe I decided that I wanted to check in with my clinical health consultant in 2 weeks instead of a month, because I need to kind of regroup to make sure that I'm not, eating a bunch of desserts, or, whatever it might be, that I'm not, because I have these baby showers on the weekends, that I'm still getting in my menus and grocery shopping and meal prep for the week. And just remember that persistence is critical, so don't give up. I mean, think about, if you're doing what you do the first week that you commit to a goal, and you do that for 50 weeks later, so we're talking the end of the year. I mean, think, even if it's half a pound a week, how powerful that is 50 weeks later. So again, don't get caught up in small things. the other thing, kind of going back and hitting on point number one, that triggers get in the way of success. And sometimes we think, oh gosh, everything's good right now, so we don't really think about what are our triggers until it happens. But the best way to really handle those triggers and be successful is to think about, gosh, in the past when I've slipped off, it's really been because, again, maybe I traveled for work, which maybe I only do once a quarter, but that got me out of my routine, and therefore I didn't get back on it, for another 6 months. So that might be something to think about. Again, how am I going to change how I go into the trip? What am I going to do differently on the trip? So again, when I come back, then I'm successful continuing on with my routine of healthy exercise. So here's to a happy and healthy lifestyle, because again, we want you to make that lifestyle change for your health and not just go on to the next fad diet. So at this point, I just want to encourage you to post any questions that you have in the question box over on that right-hand side of your page or of the screen, and I will definitely answer those. And just as I'm waiting for some questions to come in, just want to share with you all that we are, that we are definitely on social media. So if you do not, I encourage you to follow us. So we are on Twitter, and our handle is at True Health DIG, so DIG. Facebook, True Health Diagnostic Laboratories. We have a blog that our clinical health consultants work on posting probably 1 to 3 times a week on new health topics. The most recent one was about coffee creamer and why one of the clinical health consultants says, this is the reason I won't drink coffee creamer anymore, and gives you the health reasons behind that. And then as well as Pinterest, you can definitely follow us there. So the question that came in was, is frozen yogurt an unhealthy snack? So with frozen yogurt, kind of its claim to fame is that maybe it's lower fat than regular ice cream. But probably when we take a look at, what is the total carbohydrate compared to how much sugar is in the frozen yogurt versus ice cream, that's probably where we see a lot of similarity. So even though it's low fat, it's still high in sugar. So I usually tell my patients, with the frozen yogurt, number one, there's a blend of frozen yogurt and ice cream together. And then secondly, you want to treat this just as you would ice cream. So a portion size sounds really small, but it's half of a cup. And so with that, again, you want to make sure that you're measuring it out. I know out here there's a lot of kind of frozen yogurt shops. And the one thing is that people go in and they get this bowl, but then they also go on to all the toppings, which is typically like candy, maybe little pieces of cake, or it's, chocolate syrup. And again, that's where, it's just kind of the same thing that we would do having some Rocky Road ice cream at home. So again, the portion size is going to be really important. All right. And do we have any other questions? Again, to type that into, here we go. The question is, how would you manage keeping your goals with an unexpected injury? So that's probably one where you just need to go back and rework your goal. So I had a patient today that I talked to on the phone that's been doing really well with exercise, and even through the holidays she remained really consistent, but she ended up having a foot surgery this past Friday, and so she doesn't go back into the doctor until the 27th. So at this point she is restricted from all activity and really encouraged to sit for the most part and have her foot up to make sure that it heals. So at that point, really our conversation today was, okay, so what do we need to do on the diet or the nutrition? I hate the word diet. So on the nutrition end of things in order to at least maintain our weight during this unexpected injury, so that when we can get back to exercise, that we've at least maintained our weight, or maybe we've even lost weight because we've done really well with our nutrition and kind of being on track. Until maybe we're able to, get back to exercise. So we even set her call a couple weeks after her doctor's appointment to say, okay, if she was released by her doctor, then maybe she's been able to start slowly walking. So within 2 weeks, I'm going to know how she's doing and if she's been able to get back on track. Part of it is also not to let her go another month, even past her doctor's appointment, to maybe not get back on track. So I want to have that conversation with her. So, part of it is, again, going back and saying, okay, what's realistic? It's not realistic that I'm going to, exercise 5 days a week when I just had foot surgery, because my foot is not going to heal. It could possibly get infected because I'm not allowing the recovery time that it needs to. So, I would say, again, with those unexpected injuries, that we need to go back and reevaluate, or maybe we need to focus on something else until we can really let that injury heal, and maybe get back again slowly to that other goal. And I always think injuries with exercise and having to regroup there. So, and part of that recovery might be physical therapy, and it might just be a couple days a week. But again, that's a conversation to maybe have with your clinical health consultant, to be like, okay, I just need to focus elsewhere, and then again, come back to it. Next question is, how many days a week should HIIT workouts be done? So with HIIT workouts, I believe they recommend no more than, I think on the high end, I've heard 3 days a week, but more realistically, I probably have heard more like 2 days a week. Because and if you're not sure what HIIT training is, it means it's high intensity interval training. And this means that we could be walking or on a bike. And so let's just say we're on the treadmill. It's an easy example. So we walk for our warm up, and then when we're ready to kind of do our HIIT training, what happens is that we go up to a full-fledged running, kind of encouraged to be almost an all-out run. And then after maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds, or a minute, whatever we kind of choose that interval to be, we then come all the way down to a walking, maybe back down to 3.0 miles per hour, to let our heart rate really come back down. And we might do that for an entire minute before we feel rested. And then we go back up to that all-out run, and we go back and forth for 20 or maybe 30 minutes max. So again, because it is so intense, this is something where, again, on the cardiovascular end of things, I would say 2, max 3 days a week that we should be doing this. And again, even if you're not a runner, you can do this on the bike, the elliptical, or again, you can take this from a slow walk of 2.0 miles per hour up to maybe like a 4.0 mile per hour walk. You can definitely do things like that, again, to kind of challenge yourself. And that really is to get your body not used to just kind of walking on a flat ground at a steady pace, but to really challenge yourself. So I hope that answered your question. And we will wait just a couple minutes here to see if there's any more that come in. And if you do have additional questions, we are happy to answer those, even on a one-on-one appointment with a clinical health consultant. So if you don't work with a clinical health consultant at this time, we definitely encourage you to call True Health Diagnostic Laboratories at 877-443-5227 to get that appointment set. Or maybe you just haven't worked with a clinical health consultant in the last 6 months and you're ready to get back on track and need additional support. So we are definitely here, and we have lots of clinical health consultants that are ready to come alongside you and really help you with your healthy lifestyle journey. And just one last thing that I also want to point out here, I'll switch screens really quickly, is that we do have these national webinars once to twice a month. So in January, you can see today we had lifelong resolutions, and the next one is going to be on the 28th, and I believe that's a Thursday, and that one is going to be by another dietitian and clinical health consultant, Terry, and she is going to be talking about stress and irregular sleep patterns and how that can really affect your diet. So we kind of hit on that it was possibly a trigger tonight, but on that call, again, she's going to go more in depth to it. And so possibly you could have received an email today, and that next one is going to be on there, as well as we will be emailing about once a month to again let you know when that next presentation is coming up and how to get registered. You can always talk with your clinical health consultants about them maybe emailing you this sheet, which goes through our first quarter, and each one of these are a live link. So the times where it's in purple, you just click on that, and that is the link to get you signed up. So again, coming up in February, since it's National Heart Month, we're definitely going to be talking about heart health and men's health. So if you know anybody who struggles with tobacco, we do have tackling tobacco presentations given by our clinical health consultant and certified tobacco treatment specialist, Annabelle. And again, she does that every other month. So our first one, again, will be starting in February. So I don't see any more questions coming in. So we, again, definitely appreciate your time and attention tonight, and are so happy that you have joined us on this call. And you will be getting a recording of this tomorrow. So if you do need to go back and listen to any other parts of the presentation, you will definitely have that at your access. So again, thank you for your time tonight, and we hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care.